And we're live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another PMQ response stream. This one's fun. It took me 10 minutes to work out what Corbyn was going on about. Yeah. He does hammer the PM a little, though, I will say that. Before we even get into it, I should say hello to everyone. Hello, Patriarch of the Sith, Cyrene, Stephen O'Kane, and Minty447, Saw Arm. Hope you're all having a fantastic Wednesday? It's Wednesday, right? It's a Wednesday. Yes. And indeed, smash the like. Yes. Hey, Raydale. Hope you're well. An Angry Scotsman and Brony Spoon McSpoonface. Today is mostly centering around a recent event that took place in the United Kingdom. Hello, Christina. Unpronounceable last name, and Tyrrell. Hope you're doing well. And Russian bot. The issue of the day concerns a bunch of people who've committed crimes in this country who are being deported. With many saying this is basically the Windrush scandal 2.0. It is a false equivalence because of many, many obvious reasons, most notably of which those involved in the Windrush scandal weren't criminals. Their ID and information paperwork was lost. Remember? Whereas criminals, well, everything's on record. Hello, Amanda Edwardson. Hope you're well today. Yes, may all the sandwiches be moist. Hi, Riverwolf. So, as I don't want to dawdle too long on this, let's get straight into it. Because this should be good. It should be... Hello, Fairy Kitten. It should be interesting. And there are some decent questions. Some not so much. Hopefully we get to the decent ones. Zamizi. Oh, right. Thank you for telling me. I do appreciate that.
We now come to Prime Minister's questions. Dr. Julian Lewis.
Will my right honourable friend kindly list his engagements for today?
Sir.
Mr. Speaker, the whole
Could have just said question number one.
House will want to join me in sending our deepest sympathies to all those affected by the weekend's flooding.
Not the mild breeze or the absolute shambles of the public transport service? No? Okay.
My right honourable friend, the local government secretary, has announced the activation of the government's emergency Bellwin scheme to provide financial support for qualifying affected areas in the north of England. And
Hang on, are you ignoring the south? I mean, I got so hit by the wind, I had to help someone move a trampoline. I got my nice thermal jumper covered in water and rust. Surely I should be compensated for that. How dare I do something good? Hello, Aya, Littleese, and Bjorn in Gulf City. Hope you're all well. Will you be doing a video regarding the cabinet reshuffle tomorrow? I don't know. Perhaps for Friday? Not tomorrow, though. Because he won't do the reshuffle until after I've produced the video. So it would make very little sense in me waiting for a reshuffle, because it just seems a bit silly, really. But I could for Friday. That seems more reasonable. I've already got the topic for tomorrow. Actually, it's something mentioned in PMQs that I'm not overly fond of. Or either that or the expel me hashtag that was trending. And before it pops up, Aya Bria, love your channel. I've been busy and not very much on Discord or Twitch. Keep being awesome. Thank you very much for the $5 donation. It's very much appreciated.
we continue to work closely with our partners to help those affected and, above all, to keep people safe. Mr. Speaker, this morning I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others. In addition to my duties in this House, I shall hold further such meetings later today.
Julian Lewis.
Closed question 1, Mr. Speaker, on the Defence and Security Review.
I hate closed questions. And to answer Patriarch of the Sith, yes. Hello, Russell Burnham. And look, there's the alert. It only took a minute longer than expected. Very much appreciated. Genuinely.
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we will continue to transform the UK
Hello, Karma.
economy through the budget in March and the comprehensive spending review later this year. And the timing of that integrated review will be announced shortly.
To Julian Lewis.
I'm grateful for that reply, Mr. Speaker. May I urge the Prime Minister to recall what happened to the last combined security and defence review, which was done within a straitjacket of fiscal neutrality. it meant that every extra pound spent on cyber or security was a pound to be cut from the conventional armed forces.
Hang on. Thoughts from the dryer. Hello, Boris needs to invest in a Comian man. Yes, he does. I think it would actually do him a lot of favours. So, a point of a closed question is simply, it could be a one-word answer. That's it. Thankfully, Boris doesn't give a one-word answer, so we kind of understand what the context is, but not. And hello, Bish Bash Bosh Bosh Bosh, and Scotty8472. Yes. But that's basically what it is. And Theresa May, yeah, she's basically sat exactly where Kenneth Clarke sat, the former father of the house. So yes.
Therefore, will he try to ensure that the next attempt at a combined security and defence review will not face such a straitjacket and will be concluded before rather than after the comprehensive spending review?
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I understand very well the point my right honourable friend makes, and I can assure him that the integrated review will be the deepest review of Britain's security, defence and foreign policy since the Cold War. And I can also assure him that by transforming this country's economy and by raising productivity, we will ensure that both defence and security are amply provided for.
So, I'm going to address Russell Burnham's comment in the chat. I voted... Oh. Thank you, Dick Fiznit. I'm not going to try. Tia's terrible. Thank you for the £2 donation. And hello, Dominion Revelation. You wrote, I voted for Boris. He is now Boris the Bastard. Feck HS2, Feck the Bridge, and Feck Ofcom regulating the interweb. So, the Ofcom related stuff I'm going to be discussing in a video on this channel tomorrow. Yes, I'm not a fan either. HS2, I actually like it because it makes my journey so much quicker. But I can, because of the cost, part of me, and it's a tinfoil hat thing perhaps, thinks that the entire point of building up this new service to potentially phase out the older services that are less, and perhaps remove the rails that are, let's face it, at that point antiquated. My thought was that he was trying to build up a new railway system that was up there with Japan's essentially, to then just sell off, which would make sense if you're a conservative. As far as the bridge goes, it is a lot of money, but I understand the intention being to try and keep the Union as 4 countries. But I don't care for HS2 in the expense sense, so I do totally understand that one. But it works absolutely perfectly down here, where I am, and it just saves me so much time. Hello to Desert Sheep. Why is Boris turning the Tories into Labour? I have no idea. But based on the Ofcom stuff, sorry. Ofsted's a completely different body entirely. But would a tunnel not be cheaper because of the distance? I'm not sure, actually. It probably would be. But I think that would have to be costed first. I think your best option to be able to ascertain whether or not would be to, I guess, look at the cost of other tunnels like that, or something similar. But then one has to then factor in the issues surrounding ecological stuff and all that. And the petrol car ban, yeah, that's going to be tricky. That's going to be a tricky one. I don't know if they can meet that. And hello, Englishbird. I don't believe that this government, or any government, could truly erase petrol cars by 2035 or 2030. I don't think they can do it. It's not... No, it would cost so much. White elephants don't like the ferry to Ireland. They want a bridge, so it's only being humane to build them one. Yeah. How much was the channel? I don't know. I live near it. I don't know how much it cost. But I would assume, because it was done a while ago, you'd have to account for, not necessarily just inflation, but cost of materials and perhaps other things. Advancements perhaps in construction. I don't know.
Leader of the Opposition, Jeremy Corbyn.
So, I'm going to say this now. As with all PMQs, every time an opposition comes in, Corbyn will obsess over one thing. And in it, he's going to say something that is a dick move, but it's a really stupid dick move. Because there are some that kind of work, you know, that are fair play. This one is fair play to an extent, but it kind of isn't at the same time, because he's making a really... He's creating a very odd... I don't want to say straw man, but it kind of feels like it. I'm going to play plastic straws at XR Pillocks. Wait, we still sell plastic straws? I thought we only got paper ones these days. Hello, Jas, by the way. Oh, it would go through a World War II ammo dump. Jeez, that'd be bad. Yeah, we can't do that then. Okay, bridge it is.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I would say, I think there is an issue, actually, a bridge issue. It's often wired one, like some wondered why there wasn't one between the UK and France. And people seem to forget just how utterly merciless the wind is. And I think is it North Sea, that area? That would be absolutely thunderous on a bridge. They'd have to make some real adjustments to make it work. And, yeah. But no spoilers, Russell. No spoilers.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I join with the Prime Minister in expressing sympathy and support to those that are victims of flooding, and thank you to the Environment Agency and all the emergency services that are doing their best to help people. Mr. Speaker, our thoughts are also with those who suffer from the coronavirus and also with the Chinese community in this...
Oh, no. I know what he's about to say, and I kind of think perhaps there is some truth to it, but perhaps not in the extent he's about to portray it.
This country, who are, I'm sorry to say, facing increasingly alarming levels of racism within our country.
Irisy, thank you, Blue Havoc, and welcome to the stream. Tunnel Bridge. I would say, I try very hard not to judge, but I was in London recently, and every time I saw someone that was remotely Asian, all of them were wearing fecking hospital masks. And I was laughing quite loudly at them. Because you have to be so deluded to believe for a second that thing is going to protect you. Are you knucking farts? Oh, just nah. It's not racist, though, to do that. It's more, I'm starting to see where the lack of intelligence comes from.
And as this virus spreads, I also want to thank public health workers who are helping those affected and raising awareness about the danger of this virus. Mr. Speaker, does the Prime Minister think that someone who came to this country at the age of 5 and was the victim of county lines grooming and compelled to carry drugs, released 5 years ago and never reoffended, deserves to be deported?
I should say, first of all, to break this down, if you are groomed, there is an argument to be made about the severity of the crime you commit. But certain crimes, and certainly with certain sentences that come with those, hello Lord Croco Squirrel, one then has to decide whether the mitigating factor of cross-county grooming is good enough considering the crime in question. If they did their time, though, and this is where I'm going to stand, I guess, perhaps incorrectly, if you have committed a crime and you have done your time, then one has to assess, I don't want to say the value you bring to the country, but I generally think if you are a citizen, then no. If you're naturalised, perhaps not either. Because you said at the age of 5, one has to then surmise they've been in the country for a long time based on how long you said they were in prison for. So I'm perhaps not... oh dear, you're a victim of self-grooming. Yes, Russell, go hand yourself in. If they aren't naturalised, which would baffle me, by the way, then it's a very odd position for the government to be in. I'm not entirely sure. Genuinely, I'm not entirely sure. Unless I know the actual case, I really do want to know the case. That's the one thing I wanted to know about from this, and I don't have it. I genuinely don't know whether or not someone should be deported after not reoffending. I'm not sure. Perhaps and I would assume that what has caused this is the severity of the crime, not the lack of reoffending. I know that a number of those that have committed crimes that were on a plane to be deported to the Caribbean, they were not included because lawyers, lawmakers, whoever, managed to successfully argue that it would be against their best interests, and so they're here. Which I've heard made Boris quite cross. You could tell when you see a little rosy tint in his high cheekbones. I say high, I'm not entirely sure they're actually that high, I take it back, they're just a tint.
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I think the whole country would agree that while I cannot comment on individual cases, it is entirely right that foreign national offenders should be deported from this country in accordance with the law.
Which is where the issue arises, because Corbyn has used an actual story. And so it's very hard to comment on it now because we can't talk about it. Hey Alex, hope you're well, mate. The next question he's about to ask, I'm not going to lie, bugs me because I had to work out what it was he was referring to. But it's probably one of the first times I've heard someone actually reference race and make comparison. So let's do that.
Jeremy Corbyn.
The government has learned absolutely nothing from the Windrush scandal.
Windrush scandal was a loss of paperwork, and because those people didn't have to have the paperwork, but then did need the paperwork because the system got updated, it is a false equivalence to compare a criminal or someone that has committed a crime with somebody whose paperwork was lost because they didn't have to, under law, have to acquire new paperwork, which isn't the same at all. Hello, the memes of destruction, by the way.
This cruel and callous government is trying to mislead the British people into thinking it's solely deporting foreign nationals who are guilty of murder, rape and other very serious offences.
Do you want to keep them in the country then? And I know that some of the criminals were held back. I know that, and they were for lesser crimes. Hello, Jono and MC. Hope you're well.
This is clearly not the case.
Right. Citation needed.
Take the example of a
Hello, great Sky Troll anti-drama. Here comes the equivalence, by the way. The racial one.
young black boy who came to the UK aged 5 and is now being deported after serving time for a drugs offence. If there was a case of a young...
I should just say, because he hasn't gone into details of that case, because nobody can, he's just painting it and softening it. A drug-related offence. That does nothing to help us. And hello, her name is Alice and Peter Edwards. I think I may have said hello to you already if I haven't. Hello.
white boy...
Oh, right, hang on. I'm going to go back slightly. Right. Alex, because it's not until the beginning of March that the new leader will be chosen. Okay. So, here's the comparison to a 5-year-old black boy who's committed a crime. Right.
If there was a case of a young white boy with blonde hair who later dabbled in Class A drugs and conspired with a friend to beat up a journalist, would he deport that boy, or Mr. Speaker, is it one rule for young black boys from the Caribbean and another for white boys from the United States?
So, and you might notice it on the thumbnail. There on the thumbnail is a chemical formula, because I couldn't really put lines of it on the thumbnail. Can anyone guess what the Class A drug is? 10 points to your respective Hogwarts house if you can guess the drug. It's, yeah. So, while you do that, the person he's referencing is Boris Johnson. Boris Johnson, as everyone knows, was born in America. Boris Johnson has blonde hair. Boris Johnson, well, he did get caught out, wanting to knock someone out. Yes. Boris Johnson did admit to having done cocaine. He has done that. And, yeah. So, Jeremy Corbyn's comparison is somebody that committed a crime and did time and isn't a national, with somebody who actually has nationality here. Coke, paracetamol, crack, coke, heroin. Heroin can come in white powder form. I do cocaine. Beak. It was sherbet. Yes. So, a white boy. It just, I would say that the comparison is a bit of an odd one, but it's a nice direct shot at Boris Johnson. Cannabis, yes, you can definitely sniff that. I would, many on Twitter were saying that. Finally, someone's hammering whiteness in this country. Like, no, that's not Colombian party powder. There we go. They were making that comparison and saying, dandruff, by the way, is the answer. Saying that it's, you shouldn't, just because you're white doesn't mean you get a pass. Well, if Boris has broken the law, he should, of course, be prosecuted. But he hasn't been properly, he hasn't been convicted. And also he has citizenship in this country. Yeah, apparently the other one didn't. We don't know the full details to know for sure. Actually, in fact, that's the one thing we'd need to be able to absolutely clearly state whether or not the then 5-year-old boy who dabbled in drugs and did time for it can be compared to Boris Johnson without having to use race and then setting up the argument that people from the Caribbean be bad because drugs, okay, and white boy from Eton be good because good boy. Goddamn whiteness. Exactly, right? Class A knicker gussets. There you go. Everyone, you get it. You're getting it. A mincing ninja poofs away like a queef on the wind. How you doing, man? Or girl, who knows? And hello, Blue, Havoc, and Das Geest. Yes.
Prime Minister!
Mr. Speaker, I think quite frankly that the right honourable gentleman demeans himself and, by the way, besmirches the reputation of the Windrush generation who came to this country to work in our public services, to teach our children in this country, to make lives better for the people of this country. He has no right to conflate them with those foreign national offenders that we are deporting today.
I tend to agree with that one, oddly enough, because it is a very nasty comparison to set up. Because you are then implying, because of those individuals that are criminals, that they are as well. But I know the argument is, yes, but they were perceived to be criminals because they weren't here legally. Yes. But unfortunately, we found the paperwork. Yeah, that's unfortunate, right? And fortunately, we have the paperwork to prove those guys went to prison.
Jeremy Corbyn! The Windrush generation have been disgracefully treated by a government that deliberately created a hostile environment.
No, that's another conflation. The hostile environment was about illegal immigrants, not legal immigrants. Illegal immigrants have no place in this country because they are illegal. Whereas those that were legal were unfortunate enough to be caught up in it because their paperwork was lost, because the system changed. You really are on the wrong side of it. Do you realise that, right?
And whilst the government was fighting to deport people who legally came to this country as children, the Foreign Secretary refused to tell the family of Harry Dunn the reason why the US is blocking the extradition of a woman who is alleged to have killed him.
I would tell you why. Here you go, ready? Brace yourselves. Because they want to. That's their argument. There's actually a genuine reason why, and oddly enough, Jeremy's actually going to make a very good point in a minute, and we'll get to it soon.
I now ask the Prime Minister straight this question. Is Anna Sakoulis being shielded from justice because she's a former CIA officer?
Conspiracy, okay. So as far as I was aware that she's not, but if she is, that would make some sense, I guess. Tinfoil hatty, though. I know that the UK is still trying to get her extradited, because even the US have had to concede, yeah, she done goofed. Morlocks. I don't deal with Morlocks. I deal with Murlocs.
Mr. Speaker, I think the whole House will know that not only the Foreign Secretary but I, and at every level of government, we have tirelessly sought the extradition of Anne Sakoulas for justice in this country, and we will continue to do so.
And sadly, Trump is on the side of, yeah, no, you don't get her. Which does annoy me a bit, I have to concede. She did hit somebody. That person died. You now need to answer for that. And then spend a long time in a prison cell because you seriously killed somebody. You don't get a pass. I don't care for the international treaties that protect people like that. My view has always been, if you do a crime somewhere, enjoy prison, or whatever their legal system dictates. That could be pretty extreme, couldn't it?
It is widely reported that Anna Sakoulas is in fact a CIA operative.
Until you prove that, it is just reported. And I should point out, we in the UK, we have extradited quite a number of people to the US, but we never get them back. We never get anything, we don't actually get that back. There is a huge imbalance, and it's actually the one valid point he's about to make.
Now we know that the Foreign Secretary misled the Dunn family, who are being denied justice by the US government. Will the Prime Minister commit to his removal from office tomorrow in his reshuffle?
Oh, it's the next question. Damn you. Why on Dominic Raab? He's actually trying to get her brought here. But he's doing a reshuffle, though, so he might go anyway.
Prime Minister!
Mr. Speaker, the Right Honourable Gentleman knows very well that the Foreign Office have been told that Anne Sakoulas was notified to the UK government as a spouse with no official role. And we will continue without fear or favour to seek justice for Harry Dunn and for his family. And we will...
Thank you to the like button for the £2 donation. Give me a smash. MC, she had an accident. That isn't the same thing as a crime, which I think this was. I'm not convinced. I believe while she did drive on the wrong side of the road, she kind of goofed and then she left. That was the big mistake. And I'm not in agreement on it. I think firmly, if she had an accident, then she should definitely come here and answer questions anyway. You don't flee. That doesn't help you. In fact, it makes things much worse. In fact, it blows things beyond out of proportion. So perhaps if it was an accident, it could have been worked out, but because of the circumstances that have now unfolded because of it, it no longer qualifies, I think, as an accident because of how long it's gone on for. Not a great gamer, hello. Looking forward to seeing Corbyn versus Bernie Sanders in a Liberal celebrity mud wrestling match where every competitor receives a prize. It'll probably be a really bad one, by the way.
Continue to seek the extradition of Anne Sakoulas from the United States.
Jeremy Corbyn.
Right, so Corbyn's, I think this is now where he makes a point I kind of agree with, so we'll get to it.
This morning, Charlotte Charles, Harry's mum, said, "We thought we'd bridged the gap with the government, but they've not been honest with us." Mr. Speaker, this is only the latest case of our country's one-sided extradition treaty with the USA.
Boom.
This lopsided treaty means the US can request extradition in circumstances that Britain cannot. While the US continues to deny justice to Harry Dunn, will the Prime Minister commit today to seek an equal and balanced extradition relationship with the United States?
So I had a little look. It kind of is imbalanced. I don't actually understand how we agreed to that in the first place. It makes no sense that one gets more to request. It's not even a give and take. It's more of a, here, you guys just take, we're good. and we'll take nothing. It doesn't even. It's not even close to quid pro quo, really, is it? It's a bit of a no, I don't like that. It's one of the few times where I'm sort of sat here feeling very uncomfortable at the fact that I don't like something like that. It just doesn't feel right. But maybe I'm wrong. It's possible I am, actually. It's entirely possible. Yeah.
Mr. Speaker, to be frank, I think the honourable gentleman has a point in his characterisation of our extradition arrangements with the United.
I'm glad we can agree on that part. Perhaps that is, and I will agree, MC, this is where I would say that is the part that has kind of made it really shitty for her. And, yeah, that didn't help. Roxy, if she had stopped, tried to help apologise like she didn't mean it, it would have been very differently. But because she went, diplomatic immunity, oops, sorry, bye. Yeah, that's pretty much it, really, isn't it? Hello, Keith, or as I should call you, Splooging Boomer. For those who don't know, Leona Lee is called Splooging Boomer on my server. Yes, because she just can't stop being a boomer.
States, and I do think that there are elements of that relationship that are unbalanced, and I certainly think that it is worth looking at. But that is totally different from the case of Harry Dunn and Anne Sekulas, and we continue to seek the extradition of Anne Sekulas to face justice in this country.
Mr. Speaker, it's everything to do with the relationship with the USA that Anna Sekulas has not been extradited back to Britain because the US refuses to do it because of this lopsided treaty. I'm glad the Prime Minister at least acknowledges that. This deep disparity with the US is about to be laid bare when the courts decide whether the WikiLeaks publisher Julian Assange will be extradited to the US on charges of espionage for exposing war crimes, the murder of civilians and large-scale corruption.
So I'm going to ask you now in the chat, because this one's a tricky one. Press 1 if you think Julian Assange should be extradited to the US based on what Corbyn has just said. And press 2 if you don't think he should. If you press any other number, your vote is null and void, essentially. So yeah, it's a 1 or 2 thing. But please do let me know, because I'm kind of confused here. He's an irritating. He is quite irritating. It won't be long. He's here for another 3, maybe 4 weeks. So it's kind of... Oh, did Labour make that? Oh, that's brilliant. Oh, there's a sheep. Why you have to do that? Why are you coming fast? And of course Karma did, because she's the contrarian. Ooh, hello 69 otters. Dask East, you've done 1. Okay. 3, can we all have a re-listen? Sure. You can have a re-listen, okay? So...
of this lopsided treaty. I'm glad the Prime Minister at least acknowledges that.
There we go.
This deep disparity with the US is about to be laid bare when the courts decide whether the WikiLeaks publisher Julian Assange will be extradited to the US on charges of espionage for exposing war crimes, the murder of civilians and large-scale corruption. Will the...
So, hopefully that gives you a full answer. I tend to say 2, but I don't know. I genuinely... I've paid very little attention to the Julian Assange stuff. Last I thought he was still in the Ecuadorian place, being a dick, you know. I don't actually know what he's been up to. So yes, a man permanently on his gap year who has done nothing in a real job ever. Bye bye, Commie Corby. There you go.
Prime Minister agree with the parliamentary report that's going to the Council of Europe that this extradition should be opposed and the rights of journalists and whistleblowers upheld for the good of all of us?
Prime Minister.
It's a tricky one, isn't it? It's a very tricky one. Nope, Moisty Belmarsh. Fair enough.
Mr. Speaker, I'm not going to comment on any individual case, but it is obvious that the rights of journalists and whistleblowers should be upheld, and this government will clearly continue to do that.
Paul Hole. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My wife is a volunteer.
Oh, excuse me. That was the most inopportune time to yawn. I do apologise. I actually want to skip ahead. Let's go. Where is it? Right. We're here, everyone. Hide your reams. The paper pervert's on patrol.
Also ensure that the UK is the safest place to be online.
In Blackfoot.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In northern Syria, displaced women and their children are literally freezing to death. There are reports of babies dying due to the extreme conditions, and 45,000 people remain stranded with nowhere to go. Mr. Speaker, the Syrian war is considered to have caused the biggest wave of displacement since the Second World War. Can the Prime Minister tell the House what responsibility his government has taken for this humanitarian crisis?
It's a good question, because then Boris gets to flex on what he's done, or what his governments have, predecessors within the Conservative 10 years have done. Many will say, regardless, it's not enough. They will, of course, say that. And what has happened in Syria is utterly disgusting. I had somebody reach out to me on Facebook who have family in Syria, and they informed me of what Syria used to... Because we were talking about Shamima Begum. And they told me about what Syria was like, what it used to look like, and how it was as a country. Like, that country was beautiful. I think we can agree here that actually was a beautiful country. And look what's happened. Because people just can't not be a massive dick to each other. And I can certainly lay a fair amount of blame on Assad, but there are other aspects that need to be considered as well. So, Boris will give his, answer.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I think that the whole House will know what I think I've said several times in this House, that the UK leads the world in supporting the crisis and supporting humanitarian relief efforts in Syria. £3.2 billion this country has committed to that cause.
In Blackfoot.
How far does 3.2 billion go when accounting for 45,000 people? If it's going to those people and not to the government, which then means it gets lost in bureaucracy and bonuses. I'm kind of curious. I actually need to look into that a bit more before I can make up my mind whether or not it's actually worth flexing about. Yeah, I know about the hammer in 1983. That was...
Mr. Speaker, the question was about the children that are literally freezing to death. That wasn't an answer from the Prime Minister.
Actually, you said, what has the government been doing? You didn't say children. You referenced them at the start, but you questioned generally, therefore leaving the question open to be interpreted. Yeah. I do think, because if we're going to go down that line... Right, so if we're going to go down that path, we then have to start saying things like, okay, kids here suffering. Okay, UK has business elsewhere in the world. Let's now go to China, because we gave them Hong Kong. And then, what responsibility do we have there? And it's a false equivalence, I know, and it's bad comparisons. But you start going down that path, and you're just guilting people into giving up more of what they have. Because Scotland's argument is always the strength is our diversity. Which is also the slogan of London. Yeah, not shared, oddly enough, by the majority of those people that they want to bring into the country. And I'm not against Scotland, by the way, in having more people come from those countries to their country if they believe that they can give them the better quality of life. If Scotland's free of us, then by all means go nuts. But you won't be able to, because it will cost a lot of money. And you've still got a 7% deficit when you need 3% to join the EU. I don't think the EU will be overly fond of you, Exactly, English, but that's the point. We can't do everything. And while it is truly harrowing that there are kids suffering anywhere in the world, genuinely, it's horrible. It actually is something we can't affect. We can't affect as much change on as we would like yet. We have to deal with our own house, and we have enough issues with poverty here. And if Scotland believes they can fix it, go ahead. But the only way you're going to do it is by raising taxes. And you know what that's going to do, don't you? It's going to speed up that bankrupting of your nation.
Of course, in 2017, as Foreign Secretary, this Prime Minister enacted a policy of accepting the Syrian dictator Assad's rule over the country.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Assad, I'm just going to say.
Assad has delivered death and destruction on his people.
Oh no, he's about to say it, isn't he? I forgot about this. Okay, we'll get to it. Let him say it.
A man who has gassed his own civilians.
Right. That is a direct reference to the chlorine bombs Assad dropped on his people. Right. For those who don't know, the reason I put the chemical formula for cocaine on the stream thumbnail, to what I'm going to do. I'm even going to put it here. I'm going to put it on the screen. I'm going to put it on the screen. Where is it? There it is. Right, here it is. Right, that is the chemical formula for cocaine. Okay? It's because I did chemistry. And after drawing it, I then realised, oh look, I could just Google image it. But I'd already drawn it and built it with a Molly-Mod kit because I was really bored. The point is, I know a fair amount when it comes to chemistry. Chlorine is one of the most electronegative elements in the periodic table. And it dissipates incredibly fast. Like, seriously. If you drop it in a very warm area, the molecules are even more excited to bond with the oxygen. And the hydrogen, mostly the hydrogen to be fair. What happens then? Oh, that's right. It dissipates so fast that the damage done to the people is borderline minimal. Seriously. We could make one of the Shetland Islands. I'm thinking Orkney, actually, but sure, Shetland. The point is, there is no... Those who thought... Right, okay. Those who think chlorine bombs work, by the way, think they work. You're stupid. Especially in that area of the world, where while it is cold at present, it certainly wasn't when we were debating bombing the supposed chemical weapons caches in Parliament. Which, by the way, I didn't support, because as far as I was concerned, chlorine bomb is not a bomb. You know what it is? It's the stuff you add to your swimming pool. Okay? It's when you're feeling extra spicy. It's that thing you have to drink for a little kick. You could use carbonyl chloride. It is more effective. Indeed. When they did bomb the chemical weapons caches, because they got denied by the UN, because Russia vetoed it, they decided, no. Theresa May said, no, I am going to bomb these anyway. So they did. And do you know what they found there? Fuck all. And then it vanished from the media, just like that. Seriously. Yeah, but it's definitely for the clean teeth. You're right. Chlorine is for the teeth.
The humanitarian situation has reached crisis point, and there are now concerns of all-out war. Is the message the Prime Minister wants to send out from this House today that this UK...
MC, you are quite right. It is not strictly chlorine atoms. But I did look at the little claims of what kind of bombs they were. You know. Tyrrell writes, thank you very much for the 20 Norwegian kroner. Got to head to bed now, but have fun, everyone. That's very generous of you. Thank you very much. I did bother to look at the claimed contents. I'll be honest, the most dangerous thing in any of them was the chlorine. And to, where is it? Russia's part of the UN, yes, part of the, I believe, a permanent member of the Security Council, actually. I hear a cat at my window. Give me a moment. I do apologise. Ow. Thank you. Meow. Yes. Meow, 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 meow. Come on. Yes, meow. You stay there. Oh. Indeed. Meow. Right, so let's finish up because this is going to bug me otherwise.
The UK government is washing its hands of the Syrian people,
Meow.
and that he is content for Assad's regime to continue enacting these atrocities.
I'm not a fan of Assad, and I don't think he should be legitimised because, really, seriously, he's a bad person. But your argument was pretty weak. And I'm not going to bother giving meow. Yes. I'm not... yes, chat. Meow, 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 meow. I'm not going to bother with Boris's answer because it's a rubbish question. Well, he could have asked it a bit better. This is Speckles, Brony Spoon, who last night, no joke, I was in the VC at the end and of... I was in the VC and let her onto the landing and she attacked Tilly. So I had to put this one outside. It's like, no, we'll have no cat attack in the house. With this, I'm kind of interested to know what you think, but honestly, it's not a good one. Oh, no, on the keyboard. Back you go. You and your tubby tummy, go on. But yeah, I'll, it's linked below if you want to watch the whole thing. As far as I'm concerned, Boris didn't do horrifically. Corbyn had 1 or 2 good questions, actually. But the rest of it was pretty mundane, to be honest. Does Speckles like chlorine? She loves it. Actually, her favourite cocktail is Clorox and Tide Pods. So anyway, I'm going to go hang out with patrons in VC. Thank you all very much for joining. If you haven't already, please smash the like. Thank you for the donations. I greatly appreciate it. And have yourselves a lovely, lovely evening. Bye.